Hi, I'm Emily Muhlstein, and this is a presentation on a framework action that considers making changes to the greater amberjack allowable harvest and management measures. We're here because a recent stock assessment found that the greater amberjack stock is overfished and experiencing overfishing. In fact, the stock did not meet its 10-year rebuilding plan, and the Council's scientific advisors have recommended a new acceptable biological catch level. Additionally, the stock annual catch limit has been exceeded twice in the last 4 years. So here's a brief history of recent amberjack management. In 2000, a stock assessment found that amberjack was both overfished and experiencing overfishing. As a result, in 2003, a rebuilding plan was established. Another stock assessment found that amberjack was overfished and experiencing overfishing in 2006. It also found that the stock was not recovering at the desired rate. So in 2008, the allowable harvest for amberjack was reduced through Amendment 30A. And then again in 2010, a stock assessment found that amberjack was overfished and experiencing overfishing. And also the stock was not recovering at the desired rate. So in 2012, the allowable harvest was reduced again in Amendment 35. So we're finding ourselves in a similar position now. The recent stock assessment found that amberjack is not recovering at its desired rate, so the Council is considering modifying the annual catch limits and annual catch targets and some other management measures to end overfishing. So the first action in this framework considers modifying the annual catch limit and annual catch target for greater amberjack. The current stock annual catch limit is set higher than the newly recommended acceptable biological catch, and that can't happen. Just as a quick reminder, the allocation of greater amberjack is set at 27% commercial and 73% recreational. And moving forward, as you look at the alternatives for this amendment, just keep in mind that 1 pound gutted weight of amberjack is equal to 1.04 pounds whole weight. The first alternative is the no action alternative, and that would leave the combined recreational and commercial annual catch limits set higher than the current acceptable biological catch. The second alternative would use the acceptable biological catch that's recommended by the SSC. Option A would apply the annual catch limit, annual catch target control rule using a commercial buffer of 15% and a recreational buffer of 13%. Alternative 2, option B, would apply a 20% buffer to both commercial and recreational sectors. Alternative 3 would set a constant acceptable biological catch at the level recommended by the Scientific and Statistical Committee. Option A would apply the annual catch limit, annual catch target control rule with a 15% commercial buffer and a 13% recreational buffer. Or option B would use that 20% buffer for both sectors. Action 2.1 considers the recreational minimum size limit. The percent of reproductively mature female amberjack is different at different sizes, and the Council may consider increasing the minimum size limit to allow for more females to mature before they reach harvestable size. The first alternative is the no action alternative. That would leave the minimum size limit at 30 inches fork length. The second alternative would change the minimum size limit to 32 inches. The third alternative would change the minimum size limit to 34 inches, and the fourth alternative would change the minimum size limit to 36 inches. Action 2.2 considers the recreational closed season. So currently there's a closed season set from June 1 through July 31st. The closed season was originally created to avoid quota closures later in the year and to allow at least one highly targeted species to be open all year round. Peak spawning for amberjack occurs in the months of March and April. Alternative 1 is the no action alternative. Alternative 2 would eliminate the closed season altogether. The season would open January 1 and remain open until the annual catch target is harvested. Alternative 3 would establish a closed season from March 1st to May 31st. This would offer a closure during peak spawning months for amberjack. Alternative 4 would close the season January 1st through May 31st, and then again November 1st through December 31st. That would allow for a summer and early fall amberjack fishing season. And finally, Action 3 considers commercial management measures. So the current commercial trip limit is 2,000 pounds whole weight. That translates to 1,923 pounds in gutted weight. So commercially caught amberjack are typically gutted rather than whole when they're landed. So we are considering changing our measurement to be in gutted weight rather than having to do the conversion from whole weight. Alternative 1 would be no action alternative. That would leave the 2,000 pound whole weight trip limit. Alternative 2 would establish a 1,500 pound gutted weight trip limit. Alternative 3 would establish a 1,000 pound gutted weight trip limit. Alternative 4 would establish a 750 pound gutted weight trip limit. And then alternative 5 would consider establishing a 500 pound gutted weight trip limit. The Council would like to hear your thoughts on this proposed framework action. There are 2 very easy ways for you to send us comment. The first one is online by following this link and filling out our online comment form, or you could just email us at golfcouncil@golfcouncil.org. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this presentation and send us your thoughts.